Hi, I'm Colin Davis. I am the author of Shadow Tech, Cracking the Codes of Personal and Collective Darkness, together with my partner, Melissa Mari. And this is a short introduction video for anybody that might be considering interviewing me or collaborating with me in any way. I just want to give you a kind of a quick introduction. You can hear me talk about what this work is. And so you can maybe decide if this is something that you want to be a part of. So this work is about understanding and demystifying the human shadow. And when we say shadow, of course, we're using the Jungian understanding, Carl Jung's understanding of the shadow, which is the places in the unconscious mind where we repress our most primal drives and the most toxic thoughts, feelings, impulses that we can't deal with and that society doesn't want to deal with. So this is where we repress all kinds of rage and aggression and instincts for violence, also sexual lust and power strivings, and we also push down all of the leftovers of personal and intergenerational wounding, our grief and guilt, feelings of inferiority, everything dark in the psyche that we can't deal with and that society as a whole can't deal with, we repress that down into the unconscious. And that domain, that aspect of the unconscious is what Jung called the shadow. Now, the thing about the shadow is not only do we repress this material where it basically increases in its toxicity and leads to mental illness and neurosis and chronic disease and all of these things, but we also unconsciously project it onto the world. And so everything we can't stand to see about ourselves, we project it onto other people, and then they become the carriers of our own shadows. And so in this way, collectively, we create this theater of shared reality. And everything that we would call evil in the external world is actually a product of us repressing and then projecting our own shadows into the world. So as Jung pointed out, what could be more important than understanding this phenomenon and how this works? But the thing is Jung discovered this and explained this probably about 100 years ago. And it's like technology that's still sitting on the shelf and we're not using it. And it's understandable because we probably as a species have not yet advanced enough to the point to where we know what to do with this. We're still experimenting. For those people who do work with this domain, and there's very few of us, but those people that do, they will tell you that we are definitely still experimenting on how to integrate shadow material. And so it's understandable in a way why we have neglected to address it. But I think as anyone can see, once you understand how this process works, this must be addressed much more seriously than it has been. And I think it's great that we're starting to see people talk about projection, and I hear people say confession by projection, and there's some awareness, some small awareness of how projection works and all of this, but it's so small, it really has to be expanded. And so that's what my work is about. Now, I also, I should probably say that the way I'm getting this information, anything that I'm learning about this, besides reading Carl Jung and other Jungians, because that's kind of the culture where this has been dissected the most in recent history. But the primary way that I'm getting information about this is through working on myself, through my own individuation, my own psychospiritual development, and in my relationship with Melissa. And so we're coming into these understandings on a first-hand basis, and then we're comparing what we're finding about ourselves and we're comparing that with the work of other people, and then we're putting it into books like Shadow Tech and talking about it. And we are also looking for other people who are in this field, and because we believe that there needs to be a lot more of us, and we need to really bring this understanding into the public more. It's starting to creep up, but we really need to push it up more and help people understand how this process works. We are creating evil in the world because we do not know what to do with our own shadow material. And we are also destroying ourselves physically and mentally because we do not know what to do with our shadow material. All of this increasing chaos and disease, this is related to our own repressed shadows that we don't know what to do with. So it's a huge project, and it's incredibly important. So that's the basis of this. But I also wanted to, I talk a lot about the so-called red pill movement. And I think of this as kind of a 21st century version of the Protestant Reformation, where you saw the invention of the printing press and Martin Luther and the whole Protestant Reformation, where you had this movement of people that said, no, we're not going to see the world the way the Catholic Church wants us to see the world, and we're going to develop a whole new understanding for how the world works. And this led to modernity and to the rational scientific world that we're in now. Now, there's a dark side to that, obviously, too, and that's a big thing to talk about. But I think we're actually we're in another phase now, which is similar, where we are now again throwing off these public myths and throwing off we are rescinding our projections from the ruling class, who we had been unconsciously projecting parent onto the ruling class, and we are now rescinding those projections. And we are also coming into contact with all of this integrated corruption, which has been metastasizing in society at every level, but especially in the ruling class. And this is the red pill awakening, the red pill movement. And I believe that when you go through this initiation into waking up and understanding the level of ubiquitous corruption and disease in society and in the structure of civilization, and you go through this it's semi-traumatic event of really losing your naivety over this, I think this is actually a prerequisite to the next initiation, where you start to be able to come into contact with your own shadow. Now, people have been coming into contact with their own shadow for all of time without having to have some socio-political awakening of some kind. But I do believe that this fast growing movement, this which is not left or it's not right, this is a sort of a first step before we can start to have a much bigger collective conversation about how we're all responsible for all of this chaos and evil in the world, and how we're creating it, and how we are putting these crazy people into power, and that they are a reflection of aspects within us. They are a reflection of our own complexes and our own shadow material that we have not come into touch with. Now, finally, although I did say that we as a society don't know what to do with our shadow material, we certainly have, due to Jung's work and the work of other Jungians, we do actually have some basic methodology for dealing with our shadow and for coming in touch with our shadow material. And there is definitely an understanding of how to do this in a basic way through Jungian psychology. But we also have new methods now. We have internal family systems therapy. We have work with entheogens, with psychedelics, and we have emotional processing therapy that we talked about in our book. And so we do have some new understandings, and we can get started. And some of this therapeutic work is extremely powerful. Although I must say that it is definitely not nearly as developed as where it needs to be. But I did want to add that it's not as if we don't, that we can't do anything. We definitely can. And the more people that get serious about this work, then the more efficacious our methods will become. So if this is something that interests you, if this is up your alley, feel free to get in touch, shadowtechalchemy.com, and you can get our book on Amazon, but you can also get a free copy on the website if you sign up for our mailing list. And there you go. Talk to you later.